On my money menu today, are we in a recession? I mean, times are tough, but come on, consumer confidence is up, Americans are spending more money during the holiday season, and if Congress doesn't push the country over a fiscal cliff, we're likely headed for more economic growth, right? Well, one of the best economic forecasters around says not only is the U.S. economy headed for a recession with or without the fiscal cliff, he says we're already in one. Listen to what Lakshman Achyutan of the Economic Cycle Research Institute, ECRI for short, told me today.
The recession has started. We're a few months into it. And I think if you wanted to argue against me, I would point to jobs. Jobs are still growing. But when we look at the last 7 recessions, in 3 of them, jobs continued to grow into the recession.
Achyutan's group, ECRI, bases this on 4 economic indicators. Let me show them to you. Industrial production, that's all the stuff, that's the top left, all the stuff that's made in the U.S. Personal income, you know what that is, sales, and of course, employment. Look at those lines. Based on official government data this year, they show a drop-off in 3 of the 4 indicators starting in July. Only employment stays steady. That's the vertical red line, by the way, July. According to Lakshman, that means we're in a recession right now. Now, this may sound obvious to some of you, it may sound ridiculous to others, but when it comes to determining recessions, few have a better track record than ECRI. Back in 2001, the group predicted a recession when the vast majority of economists said it couldn't be true. They were wrong. ECRI was right. In 2006, ECRI predicted the housing boom had ended while others were still touting it. We all know what happened then. Fast forward 2 years. ECRI forecast the worst global recession in years. That was in August, a month before the collapse of Lehman Brothers set off the global financial crisis. ECRI also correctly predicted when the U.S. would come out of that recession. Here's the weird part. Just today, we got a revised number for GDP, gross domestic product, for the third quarter of this year. It showed the U.S. economy grew at an annual rate of 2.7% in the third quarter. That is much higher than the 2% the government originally estimated. Now, gross domestic product isn't perfect, but for now, it's the broadest measure of economic activity that we've got. The government says the economy actually grew more in the summer months, right when Achyutan and ECRI says things began to fall off. So what gives? Take a look at growth since the last recession. It has been a roller coaster for this economy. But if you go by what the government is telling us, things should be looking up. But everyone, including Achyutan and ECRI, agree that going over the fiscal cliff would make things worse. Which brings me to my next topic, sequestration. That's a stupid name for a stupid thing. More than a year ago, both the president and Congress made a deal with the devil after both parties felt no shame in taking America to the brink over raising the debt ceiling. Their so-called compromise back then was that if they could not negotiate a debt reduction deal, cuts would happen across the board. Now, this isn't the whole fiscal cliff. This is just the sequester, $1.2 trillion of mandatory spending cuts over 10 years, which are scheduled to start on January 2nd. Half of that money will be cut in defense, half in everything else. Next year alone, the sequester could carelessly take $65 billion out of federal spending, reduce economic growth by 2/3, and take out as many as 1 million jobs versus growing 2 million, which is what the U.S. is on track to do now. I fully understand that the government needs to spend less and spend more efficiently, but how you achieve it is as important as how much you cut. And the sledgehammer approach of the sequester is not economically sound. Now, there are targeted and measured ways to do this without driving the country into another recession. Some debate today as to whether we're in one or not, but the sequester will only make things worse. So Congress, solve it now. We're all watching. Listen, I've been talking to you about housing lately. It's hot. And if you've got good credit and you've got money for a down payment, it is the perfect time to buy. Nationally, housing affordability is the best it's been in a long time, but not where I am. According to a new survey, New York City is the least affordable place in America to purchase a home. No big surprise here. Home prices in New York are nearly 2.5 times the national median home price, which is $189,000. Now, other expensive places on the list aren't that surprising either. San Francisco, Los Angeles, Honolulu. But hey, this one caught my eye. The West Texas town of El Paso. It's the 10th least affordable place in the U.S. because home prices are high there compared to the median income, which is how affordability is calculated. A lot of El Paso residents depend on public jobs with the city, the local school district, nearby Fort Bliss, as well as the tourist industry and agriculture. So Many of these people don't earn much higher than the minimum wage, and a third of the homes on the market there are unaffordable to them. Median income in El Paso is lower than the national average at $41,700. That's what you need to know right now. I'll be back at this time tomorrow with the most important 5 minutes about business and the economy. For a more in-depth discussion of these topics, watch Your Money, Saturday 1 Eastern, Sunday 3 Eastern. From the CNN Money Newsroom in New York, I'm Ali Velshi with Your Money.